Hello and welcome to Dragon Talk. I am one of your co-hosts. I'm Greg Tito. I'm joined by not Shelley.
That's my legal name, is not Shelley.
Not Shelley Carroll. You know, you're in my phone as Bart Mazanoble.
Our daycare has him down, as Bart Mazanoble.
Is that so? Yeah. Which last name does he have?
He has my last name, but I don't know. Mazanoble's a cooler last name.
It is. That's what I said to my wife when she was like not sure whether she was going to take my name or not. I'm like, but Tito is just a cooler name.
Well, what was her?
Logaman.
Oh, that's pretty good.
It's all right, but it was always had a you had people said Logaman a lot, not like
Logan Man.
Logaman.
Oh, Logaman.
Yeah, so it's Logeman, like Logemann. She's probably pissed that I'm outing, her maiden name at this point. But it actually means theater person, person who worked in the theater. So like there's the thought that there's like theater people go back, years. That's what we meant. She's an actress as well. So
yeah.
Lots of theater in our background.
Well, with a name like that, she was destined to be. So,
exactly.
It's myself, Bart Carroll, stepping in for Shelley. She is out ill, unfortunately, but she might be. She's got the strep. She might be in the chat watching me right now.
She's probably watching you right now and judging you silently while she's watching Real Housewives of Orlando or wherever she is, or The Bachelor. Or some other show / doing actual work. There's that involved.
I'd make fun of them, but I'm looped into all of these shows now.
I know, right? So this is like me making fun of you, making fun of her at the same time.
I could tell you all about the Big Brother season underway now.
We'll have to schedule another episode on Dragon Talk and talk about that. But
yes,
we are here to talk about official Dungeons and Dragons business. First up is that we are all on Twitch. So those of you who are listening at home, thank you for continuing to listen to the podcast. We're going to be continuing doing this forever, but you can watch us record this live on Mondays at 2 p.m. Pacific time on twitch.tv/DND. So get to it and start doing that now because in addition to that, we have lots of other programming going on Twitch, such as starting on Monday nights at 5 p.m. we'll be doing a marathon of the first few episodes of Force Grey Giant Hunters, which we debuted about a year ago, right about now on the Nerdist channel.
Yes, I believe it was July 10th or 11th.
Right.
Season 1 for Force Grey rolled out, Giant Hunters, and
Dungeon Master was Matthew Mercer. There was Chris Hardwick was on that cast. Brian Posehn is in that cast. Whole bunch of amazing people. Ashley Johnson from Critical Role and Blind Spotter in there. Utkar Shumbudkar from Pitch Perfect. As well as Shelby Farrow, who did a fantastic job as Dagny Hammersmith.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'll say yes.
Yeah. Good stuff. Anywho, we'll be doing that starting tonight at 5 p.m. Pacific time on Mondays, and then we'll be rolling out season 2 of Force Grey very soon, July 31st. Just throwing that out there. It's not technically announced yet, but those of you listening and or watching this, you're getting that right now.
If you watched Girls Guts Glory on Thursday,
it's already announced. The date's already out there. July 31st, Monday, 5 p.m. Pacific time. Maybe we'll get some interviews with some of the new cast members, who include you were there for the taping of that, right?
Yes, I flew down to L.A. I was very honored to be part of the taping. I was a fly on the wall. It was a lot of fun. It was great to see. It was a slight.
Who are some of the new cast members that are in there?
Joe Manganiello, Deborah Ann Wall, and then some returning cast members, of course, Brian and Utkarsh, and Dylan Sprouse, of course, as well.
That's right. I forgot about. I'm sorry, Dylan. I forgot about you. You're also on there, and it's doing amazingly.
And returning Dungeon Master, the inimitable Matt Mercer is coming back.
Awesome.
So very excited.
And then on Tuesdays, we have Dice Camera Action, and we'll be actually talking to one of the cast members of Dice Camera Action who plays the rogue Diath. And it's Jared. Oh, God, I said it so many times. Knabenbauer. Yes, I think that's correct. Jared, you're going to have to correct me when we do this for real. I practiced so many times in the last session with Chris Perkins.
I'm laughing because you were out in the hall going over and over and over. And I knew, it's not.
But then there's been 10 minutes. There's 10 minutes of that short-term memory to just go right out my brain. We'll be talking to him all about his history with Dungeons & Dragons, as well as how he's been playing DF the last year and 2 or 3 months on Dice Camera Action with Chris Perkins. So we'll get to that after we are going to do a lore segment right about now. Do you think that makes sense? Should we do it now?
Sounds good.
All right, well, let's kick it to the bing bongs with some lore.
Chat says you got it right.
I got it right. Sweet. I got it right, you guys. That was a really good segment. We're delving into, let's go with Valindra Shadowmantle. That was a good one.
Yeah. I was following.
It was a character I've always wanted to know more about, so it was great to pick their brains about it.
Yeah, she's an interesting character.
For sure. Yeah. She reminds me of my mother.
Aw.
That's terrible. I've got some other stuff going on in the Dungeons & Dragons world. Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realms was recently announced. It is a idle game from Codename Entertainment. They've been announcing characters that you can play as or send out in your party over the summer. And I think the second one, we started with Minsk and Boo from the Baldur's Gate series, and I believe a new one was just announced yesterday or this week. So check that out at idlechampions.com or on Twitter at idlechampions. There's also HasCon you guys should know about, right? Mm-hmm. It's September 8th through 10th in Providence, Rhode Island. If you are listening to this, you can get tickets right now at hascon.haspro.com. Click on the tickets tab, scroll all the way to the bottom, and there's lots of Dungeons & Dragons events and things you can buy tickets for right about now. The thing that's the really big favorite of mine is the fact that you can get tickets for events in which you, as an adult, can bring your kids, and it's a kind of introductory experience, a little kid-friendly. We have two of those, one that go from like a kid that's like 10 or younger or 10 or older. So you can go, you can go teen/tween to younger kids. So if you have someone who really likes My Little Pony or For Real Friends or something like that, you can be like, hey, come to HasCon, and then you can slyly get them into Dungeons & Dragons that way. Is that what I like to say? Dungeons & Dragons Beyond is coming very soon. Beta Phase 2 is a thing. It's out there. Go make your characters in Dungeons & Dragons Beyond, dndbeyond.com. Check that out. Our friends at Curse Media, Adam Bradford, has been doing a fantastic job leading that team, making sure that all the little permutations of how to build a character are all in there and working perfectly.
So it's Beta Phase 2, Beta Phase 2, and 3.
Beta Phase 2 and 3 have been live. 2 was the character builder. 3 was the homebrew content, so you can make your own spells and stuff like that, make your own magic items, and then share them with people, and other people might want to use them. Just throwing them out there. Also, Dragon Plus came out.
Yes, no, I was going to mention that. It came out at the end of the month. It's every other month. So at the end of June, we released issue 14. Mm-hmm. It was our travel special. We wanted to do an initial preview of Tomb of Annihilation, of course. We also wanted to do a feature on playing Dungeons & Dragons around the world, which was a lot of fun to kind of note some of the similarities we're confident that we're going to be, of course, but also some of just the cultural differences of playing Dungeons & Dragons in Russia versus playing Dungeons & Dragons in anywhere else that they are playing it. So a lot of fun. And, of course, a scenario from Rat Queen's Curse Weeb. It's always nice to be able to get some good crunchy content into to Dragon Plus every month as well. So.
And Dragon Plus is, of course, an app on your Android or iOS or on the web. It's at dragonmag.com.
Dragonmag.com.
So you can get all that fun content there. And what do we got going on for the next issue? Got anything fun planned?
Yes. Issue 15. We don't really announce these things. So
no, we don't. But why not give a little tease? Give a little tease.
Issue 15, we wanted to lean a bit more into some of the board game endeavors that we're going to be doing. Obviously, we've got Avalon Hill's Betrayal at Baldur's Gate. So we'll be doing a preview of that. Chris Dupuis, who worked pretty extensively on the development of those scenarios, will be contributing some material. Shelley Mazanoble, of course, will be writing a little bit of a welcome regarding that game as well. Mm-hmm. And looking at some of the other board game efforts underway. Tomb of Annihilation from WizKids, I believe, is announced, so hopefully I haven't just said anything out of turn.
Not at all.
But the next adventure system game, taking a look at that. And then we like to do a bit of a retro article every issue from past issues of Dragon Magazine. We have such a rich history to look back at and promote, and Dragon Magazine has put out a number of its own board games over games over the years, independent of D&D. So we wanted to take a look at what a couple of those are and republish some of those rules. So.
Sweet. And of course, we introduced Tomb of Annihilation at the Stream of Annihilation. It's the new storyline. It takes place in the jungles of Chult. We've been delving into lore about all of that, as well as streaming all of it all on twitch.tv/DND. So you get some previews of that. That adventure comes out on September 19th, wide everywhere. It'll be out September 8th for in-game stores. So if you have your local game store, go in and buy it there on September 8th and get right into it. But the first way you'll be able to interact with the Tomb of Annihilation storyline is in Neverwinter, which is really kind of cool. The action MMO from Cryptic Studios and Perfect World Entertainment. Their thing goes on PC on July 25th. That's when you'll be able to play Tomb of Annihilation in Neverwinter, and it'll be out on Xbox One and PS4 shortly after that. So that's pretty exciting. And of course, we talked about Valindra Shadowmantle as a major character in the beginning, kind of initial content in Neverwinter. So if you're interested in learning about the lore of that city, as well as the Elven Lich that we talked about in this Lore You Should Know segment, you should jump right into Neverwinter right now. And that's at playneverwinter.com. All right, I think we've done enough. Do you think we've done enough?
That's pretty comprehensive.
I said we were going to do a quick intro, and then we did a longer mid-tro, and now we're going right to Jared. So let's call him up on the phone. Hello.
Hello.
Hey, there he is. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good.
Yeah?
Really good.
Where are you located?
I'm in Los Angeles.
Oh, okay. For some reason, I always thought you were like in the middle of the country. I don't know why.
I used to live in Texas, and I moved to Los Angeles like last year.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
What part of Texas?
In Arlington, Dallas area.
Oh, okay. I still live in El Paso, and Texas is a very big place. But nothing similar.
Yeah, there's like no
Arlington, Dallas.
in-betweens there.
No.
I've heard the words El Paso, so I'm sure it's there.
They have salsa there, right?
They have many
Probably.
things, yes.
Nice. Well, thanks for coming on. You've been doing Dice Camera Action for so long, but it's crazy that we it's taken this long to get you on Dragon Talk.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, I first found out about your love of Dungeons and Dragons, and for those of you who don't know, this is I'm going to say it wrong, Knabenbauer.
That's actually right.
Yes! You got it.
Yeah,
All right.
okay.
Phew. I practiced with Chris a couple of times beforehand.
I couldn't tell if they were messing with you or not. No, it's a hard K.
They had me practice the entirely wrong pronunciation. Oh my God, that would be terrible.
But it'd be kind of funny.
Yeah, it would be funny. But you've been a YouTuber for how long? When did you start doing that?
The ProJared channel's been going for almost 7 years.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah. That's like an aeon in internet time.
Yeah, and now that I say that out loud and realizing just how much time I've been doing this, whew.
Yeah,
right.
man. That's like my college years.
What was the impetus? How did you decide to get started? What made you just dive right into it?
All it came down to, for at least my YouTube channel, was there's one particular video game that I absolutely detested, and I really wanted to make fun of it, and that was it.
What was the video game?
I want to make fun of this game. So I did that because the sequel was coming out in like a month or so. So I want to talk about the first one first, and then immediately talk about the second one. And then the second game ended up getting delayed by several months. And I was like, oh crap, I should do something in the middle. And from there on out, it's just been doing those videos for almost 7 years now.
What was the game?
It's called Two Worlds.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is a really crappy fantasy RPG.
Yeah, I remember that. I was doing video game journalism at the time, and I remember that being like notoriously hated.
Oh yeah, it had so much hype and build up behind it. So, and like, naturally, I'm really into like fantasy RPG stuff, so I was hyped for it. So I got to channel that rage into a career.
Right. So, and back to what I was started with was that like I first heard about your D&D love when you did what's it, D in December? Is that what you branded it as?
2 years ago, I started D&D December, where I spend the entire month of December just talking about Dungeons and Dragons. Either it's personal stories, usually humor stories I've had from playing the game, talking about the different rule sets, tips and tricks for new players, etc. Just because I've always had a passion for it. I've always wanted to talk about it. And talking about that kind of stuff anything tabletop on YouTube is difficult to do. So that I really wanted to just try it and just really share my other passions besides video games.
Nice. And how long have you been playing Dungeons and Dragons? Before that, like what was your origin story? When did you start playing?
I wish I couldn't tell you the exact age. I was maybe 6 or 7.
Oh wow, early.
It's early 90s for sure, and I started off with the Dungeons and Dragons Basic Cyclopedia, where it only had 6 classes, and 2 of those classes were Elf and Dwarf. So rather than just having sub races, you just had class. Everyone was a human, although elves were fighter magic users and dwarves were just other fighters.
More burly fighters that were resistant to poison.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that supplement though. Was it before second edition came out?
It was after second edition.
It was.
I think Basic Rules Cyclopedia was, I want to say, around like 1990 or so. Someone else got to fact check that for me.
If I'm not wrong, it sounds like, and I could be completely wrong, it sounds like a compilation of the basic rules, the expert rules, all the way up to the immortal rules. So if you ever played the Red Box game in the 80s, that's where I started, and I remember that as well. It was, sure, you could be a fighter or a cleric, but you could also be an elf or a dwarf, exactly as you said. Those were the class options.
Right.
I certainly also had that Red Box because it had the Choose Your Own Adventure tutorial in there.
Yes.
I played that so many times, just trying to do every different option just on my lonesome. But I got through all of this thanks to my oldest brother, who is about 10 years my senior.
Oh, wow.
Who had all of these things, and just watching his friends play and being fascinated by it, and then getting these hand-me-downs as new versions came out. It's just how I got captivated into Dungeons and Dragons.
So did you ever get to actually participate in the older brother's games?
Nah, never with him. Not with his friends. He did do one where so I have a total of 3 brothers. A twin, one's 2 years older, and one that's 10 years older. So he did do one. Our first AD&D game ever was when he just chose to be a dungeon master for us. He just improvised the whole thing. And that was the very first time I played as a rogue. And we all died immediately. I believe a rock showed up, killed the other 2, and then carried me off because I had the highest charisma, and then fed me to her babies.
Oh my gosh, that made quite an impression on you.
Yeah, I was like, oh man, AD&D's fun.
I never thought I would get to be eaten.
Yeah, but it's an odd thing. One of the things you remember is how your character died, not just how they defeated the dragon.
I know.
Right.
Horrible ends.
I always tell people that when they get frustrated or mad that their character could die. I'm like, yeah, but that's the greatest dramatic moment of any story.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, look, you kill so many other people. Why can't you die?
Exactly.
Apropos, Game of Thrones just started up.
I had a DM once who, it was like a side conversation. It had nothing to do with Dungeons and Dragons, but we were basically talking about like whether you wanted to be cremated or buried, like your actual, in your life. And I just played off it was an old George Carlin joke. There was like, I want to be blown up. And I thought that was hilarious. Oh yeah, just be exploded, throw up in a big rocket, right? And then he took that detail. I could see him as the dungeon master be like, huh. And then like 3 sessions later, I was moving away, and I had to leave the group anyway. And he had orchestrated this whole plot so that there wasn't going to be an explosion, but one person needed to stay behind and make it all happen. And then I ended up blowing up, and I'm like, you did that. You totally remembered that detail.
Nobody goes for mummification anymore. That's the option I would take.
Let's bring it back.
Yeah, I don't know.
Let's do it. So did you play, after that first introduction, did you play like slowly over time or how to go through school?
So I didn't really have like a real good consistent group until about middle school. Before that, it was my first attempt at being a dungeon master was using those basic rules cyclopedia, and just playing with my brothers and some of his friends, not my oldest brother, but the other ones, and some of his friends would also join. It was just, ridiculous, kick down the door, get some treasure kind of gameplay. I remember I had a campaign once where they got a Horn of Blasting, And then they did something stupid, and it angered an NPC who stormed off holding that horn of blasting, and they were upset.
Oh,
So I was also DMing very early on, and it wasn't until middle school that I got my current consistent best friends who we still played together.
oh no
And
way,
then,
really?
Yeah, and then I introduced them to AD&D. A few years later, third edition comes out, and then we actually had a years long ongoing campaigns. And I've always was the dude who was always that dungeon master for everyone. So I've DM'd a lot, which is why the my old channel URL on YouTube was DM Jared.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I thought it was direct message, Jared.
Is district manager Jared.
So why do you think you gravitated towards DMing? Was it because there was nobody else, or did you just love that storytelling aspect?
A little bit of both. One, no one wanted to do it. Two, I love the creative aspect. Even like a lot of the video games I played growing up, there's always a lot of kind of creation, building games, rather stuff like Sim City,
Yeah.
or things along that nature. So like I enjoyed that kind of stuff. So being able to create my own, in my eyes, was essentially a game for people to go through. I got to make my own dungeons, make my own traps, come up with treasures for everyone to reward them. I thought all of that was just really, really cool. So I naturally kind of gravitated towards wanting to do that kind of stuff and then put people through it.
That is cool. Yeah, that was the stuff that I always latched onto as well, like just reading the monster manuals and being like, oh man, I can't wait to use this, or this society will interact with this society.
I just flip through those pages and I'm like, what the heck is this thing? I'm pretty sure I haven't killed them with this yet. And just toss it in there.
Nice. Was there a lot of character deaths in those early days?
Not a whole lot. I mean, it was early AD&D and basic rules, so it was much easier to kill people.
Right.
But I've always tried to be a kinder DM to keep people playing and get attached to the characters. Over the years, I found other ways to punish them is much more interesting than just say killing them off. For example, one of my friends always loves playing a monk kind of character, and one of the things I've always wanted to do to punish him was to have him lose an arm. It's like, oh yeah, you like punching stuff? I'm gonna take half that away. Like, to me, that's cooler than just outright killing them.
Yeah, but then
You want to maim them.
But you have to really respect the one-armed monk who just has to overcompensate and is just as good. Yeah, that would be pretty odd. So you used to play with your brothers. Did you ever get a vent your sibling rivalry out on them? If anything came up, you could just, I'm going to take it on your characters.
Not on me, but I've certainly had the reverse.
The older brothers.
Yeah, so around third edition, when my 2-year older brother, he had his own campaign with all of his friends, and then he let me join in there too, because he knew I was an experienced player, and he just wanted to even out the group a little bit, and then kind of help some of the newer players there. He would get bored very easily, and anytime he got bored, he would just find some way to kill us all or have something terrible happen. And the climax of that campaign, where we never played again, is that he suddenly came up with, like, as he exclaimed, a brilliant idea. We got to do it. And we're all excited. So we sit down, and we're in this forest, and we're starting getting attacked by an invisible enemy. As we hear these weird clicking noises off in the forests, and we could tell there's an invisible creature chasing us around, and large energy bolts blast out from its shoulder and it's attacking us. So it turns out we were fighting the Predator.
Yeah. I feel like I've run that game myself, beholden to the Predator as a great monster.
Yeah.
Oh, he's so cool. I want to use him.
Oh my god. That is
We did
cool.
defeat him, though, and got his gun.
Ooh, and that broke all of the conventions, right? You were like,
Yeah,
oh, nice.
basically.
We can now take over the world.
I was playing a rogue cross-classed into assassin, and I was like the only person with a high enough use magic device skill, so I was able to get this gun. Weirdly, after I had the Predator gun, never played again. That's a bummer.
That is a bummer. You got to resurrect that character. Find that character sheet somewhere.
So how that happened.
So a long-standing affinity for rogues and thieves, it sounds like.
Yes, ever since probably about. Ooh, man. Certainly in AD&D for sure. Before third edition is like when I really sucked my teeth into it, but I've always enjoyed rogues just because I've always liked the utility to them.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much the backstab or sneak attack stuff. I just love the idea that they can contribute to the team because they can find traps, pick locks, climb easily, stealth around, scout. That's the stuff that I really like doing and that enjoy playing rather than just outright dealing damage. So that's one of the things I always fascinated about rogues to me.
And the assassin, bit is just like that heightened, right? Like you're able to deal tons of damage, but like you're also pretty much just like uber rogue.
Yeah, that was in that particular campaign. It was just the rest of the group was just kind of wacky, and I was like, oh man, I've never used a prestige class before. Let's try assassin. And then I got all the different poisons and some few minor spells to help use with my roguish abilities.
Right. God, prestige classes. Remember those?
Yeah.
There used to be so many like requirements. So that was like 90% of your character builds in 3rd edition would be like, I got to make sure I take spot 5 times over the next level.
I had to tweak my skills just right for assassin and then just kill a man.
Just to watch him die?
That was one of the prerequisites for the assassin?
Back then?
Yeah, it was just kill someone for no other reason than you want to kill them.
Wow.
And it's like, great, you're an assassin now.
Yeah,
I did it.
Just for the player. Just think what the character has to do.
So when Greg Bilsland kind of approached you to start up Dice Camera Action, so you went in full rogue, I guess, because you were like, was that just in your wheelhouse and you just wanted to keep playing that?
Yeah, of course. I had done D&D December a few times, and I had talked about my favorite character I'd always ever played as, who is Dieth Woodrow. Mm-hmm. So when he approached us about doing the show, I knew I wanted to bring Dieth back because I love playing rogue characters, and I also feel like because he's a very different rogue. I wanted to kind of break that stereotype that people have of those characters, where they're always kind of the neutral evil character who just want to steal everything or even steal from the other players in the party. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people kind of get that in their mind. A lot of people play rogues that way, and that's never how I did Dieth. So I kind of want to bring him to the forefront to show that there are different ways to play rogue characters that isn't just murder and stealing and getting money.
Yeah, because a lot of like heroes of literature and myth, probably map to rogue more than other classes too. So right, and then you never really think about them as being the backstabber, scoundrel types, although those exist in lots of literature too. But like,
they tend to have maybe a scoundrel streak in them. But like Star-Lord from Guardians of the Galaxy could be a rogue. Yeah, Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones was where I was going. Right,
mm-hmm.
He's definitely altruistic and wants to help people, but he does it using his rogue skills.
Mm-hmm.
With proficiency in exotic weapons.
He's got that reach. He's got reach with that whip. Sweet. So is that, were you trying to gravitate towards those kind of tropes more for Dieth?
None of them had necessarily sprung to mind when I was making him.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's the comparisons are certainly there. Just not always evil or... I always see stories online about the party rogue who just either steals something or hands a note to the DM, just says, I secretly steal something important from the other characters, which just causes infighting, and only one person's having fun with that. And I'm not about that. So I just want to show that there are other ways to play them.
Yeah, that makes sense. You said this has been a long-standing character. When did you first start playing with Dieth?
I want to say it was 3rd editions when I first created him. No, don't take that back. It was definitely before that, because I know I used that name in Baldur's Gate.
Oh wow! Okay, so we're going back into the Wayback Machine here. Yeah,
so it was certainly at some point in AD&D. I don't think I got to play him a whole lot, but I certainly enjoyed my time with him. And like I said, as the person who is almost always the DM, even though I've had him for many, many years, I haven't actually had to use him a whole lot since I didn't have a whole lot of opportunities to do so.
You didn't break him out as an NPC every once in a while?
Oh, I did that a lot.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So is Dice Camera Action like the longest time you've been not a DM?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Really? Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. This is the most extensive campaign I've had as a player ever. And what's also cool about it is because we've been doing it for so long, this is the most fleshed out as a character Dieth has ever been.
That's cool. So what's it been like filling in those details? Over it's like a year and 3 months now, right? Isn't that about that?
Yeah, just over a year. I'm in love with it because I've always had his kind of base foundation there, and that he's a rogue, but he doesn't steal. He helps people, and he doesn't necessarily enjoy fighting or combat. But ever since then, I've had gotten to really, even internally, even with our dungeon master Chris Perkins, just figure out why he is the way he is, rather than just the fact that he is. So I know more about his personal history, his family history, what happened to him growing up that makes him act the way he is, why he is that kind of person. Especially in recent episodes with how unfortunate some things have gone, and how much that has affected him as a person has been absolutely fascinating to me. So this is the longest I've played with him, and this is the best version of him and my absolute favorite.
That is cool.
This is canonical Dieth.
From now on, he will be known forever in this.
If anyone ever asks what happened to him, dice camera action is it.
So, before we get into like really what's happening right now in the storyline, what was can you give some people who are listening who may not have seen every episode of Dice Camera Action, like what were some of the story beats along the way that have kind of shaped your thinking of him?
Oh man, so many. So just his entire relationship with one of their party members, Strix, who is a tiefling sorcerer from Sigil. They have a very particular kind of relationship, and I feel like a lot of the dynamic from there shows who Dieth is, and he's kind of became the sort of party leader. It wasn't the way at the start. That's just kind of how it came to be, as he ended up being kind of the voice of reason, pragmatic character. So that in general has certainly shaped him. But the specific events I absolutely loved was, for one, when episode, I think it's 7 or 9, where Dieth is brought to the gallows. That's a pretty important one, I'd say.
Yeah, the scar around your neck, I feel like has been such a great motif to go back to.
It really has, and it's certainly something that he hasn't forgotten. I also really liked a minor moment where shortly after that, where the party's first encounter with Strahd as he tries to capture Arena. There's a moment where Strahd's nightmare attacks Dieth, and he just uses it to escape in a very roguish way, which just kind of shows how he acts rather than just kind of stabbing something really hard with his sword. So that was another minor moment that shows like how he approaches conflicts. Other important ones, some of the recent ones was everything that went down in Iron Slag. In season 2 has absolutely affected him. Episode 52 with everything that with Evelyn has certainly affected him. Even I can't remember exactly which moments, but he's had a lot of turmoil / conflict with one of the other party members, Paulton, where even though they're on the same side, they butt heads so often that I there as a player, there's a few times where I think to myself like, oh man, we're gonna fight each other. I think we're gonna fight. And it gets really close a lot of times. So everything with their robot Simon and how Dieth reacted to that and treated him, I think is also kind of indicative of how he approaches things. But then when with Simon's fate and how the rest of the party kind of reacted to that, and internally it really changed Dieth and how he saw these things and the rest of the party.
I love the way that you have all this in your brain as like, these are the important moments that, and obviously when you create, a show like this where like, there's going to be weekly, stories and beats and everything like that. But it's really sounds like you're talking about like a Game of Thrones or like a, a scripted narrative. And it's just so awesome that you guys are, creating this together online every week. And it feels like these are, story beats that a writer's room would have come up with, but they're ones that, happen naturally and organically. It's really fascinating.
Yeah, it's been excellent. I just got to see all of the other players just a few nights ago.
Yeah. How was that?
It was awesome. We were all just in a bar, and all we did for damn near 3-4 hours was just talk about our show and our characters, like how we've like changed things or developed characters, our favorite moments, or just like little reveals to each other during all those times. It was so good. Like we just nerded out to each other for 4 hours because we love this show and our characters as much as all of the viewers do.
So much like obviously Chris Perkins is the dungeon master, plans and plots things and scripts it out maybe a bit in advance. Did you as a party then decide, hey, here are some decision points we want to take, here's the directions we want to push our party towards? Did you discuss sort of that sort of party dynamic or strategy or where you'd like to take the group next?
We did not, because we kind of just wanted to happen and see how we react to there, rather than trying to have an end point and almost kind of wedging or forcing ourselves to that point. So we'd rather just so we know our characters and our pasts and our presents, but we don't want to have any kind of influence on the futures, rather than just letting the events lead us to that, or whatever Chris Perkins has planned to further develop us and leading towards that. For example, last episode, one of the NPCs had called out a slur to Dieth, and it's a very specific word. And right away, like all three of them were like, "What is that? What does that mean?" And I was like, "I don't know."
That's awesome. So I saw that picture on Twitter where you guys were all together. What was the occasion? Because I think Anna was visiting to appear on Maze Arcana in LA, but was Nate on tour as well? Is that why you guys were all in the same city?
Oh no, Nate actually lives in Burbank, which is very close by to where Holly and I live. So because Anna was coming into town, we just all met up at a bar in Burbank, and for the first time, we got the full Waffle crew together.
Yeah, because you guys were, three of you, with minus Nate, were here for Stream of Annihilation, and then you were also live at TwitchCon. Was that last year?
Yeah, that was last TwitchCon.
Right.
Yes, but Nate, who has so many tour dates and is always does voice acting gigs and is always recording new albums and stuff. So the getting it together with him at any point in time is just a rare occasion and an absolute treat whenever we get to.
Nice.
Now, it was very Palton-like that night, as we're all just hanging out, and Nate's like 6 drinks in, and he was fine.
Did he break out a guitar at any point? Like, did he start actually singing? Oh, okay. Dang it, that would have been the perfect Palton moment.
Some castanets.
So you guys have been working on your costumes, at least. I know you also went to the Ren Fair, as well as wearing your costumes for the 2 live events you've done so far. Has Nate been working on a costume? Just on the off chance that he'll be able to join you guys one time?
He hasn't been working on one for himself, but Holly and my wife Heidi, who made my costume, who's also a professional cosplayer.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Have basically offered to make his for him, and just said, it'll be so fast and easy. We're gonna make this for you. You just put it on and be on shows with us. The hard part is just getting those live dates available at the same time as him.
Right. That's all right, that makes a lot more sense then. All right, I think having a few ringers come in will make the cosplay for you.
Right.
That makes it a lot easier. For sure.
That's one of the other cool things about having this costume is that obviously I've been playing Dieth for so long, but for the first time ever, I have like a concrete image of him and what he looks like, and like the smaller details are on him, which I've never had before. So kind of seeing that kind of realized was really, really cool and a little bit of emotional to me, won't lie. And then I got to wear it, and I felt awesome.
Did a little tear droop down your cheek?
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh, that is pretty amazing to have like something that has been your creation for a long time finally be like in the flesh.
It's more or less like having a dream kind of come true, like an imagination just being brought to the physical realm. Is very cool.
That is fantastic. So how did that work? Did you like give her a sketch? Did your wife a sketch, or was it like you just talked about it and then she would show you a few options?
We talked about it, and she basically told me which ideas were stupid.
All right, that was a subtle test to see if you were actually married, and you passed.
So, yeah, I brought a few ideas to her. I also have a miniature of Dia that I had painted, and so I brought it to her, and I was like, let's kind of base it off of this. And she's like, ooh, those pants aren't gonna work. And I was like, what? I was like, oh, they're fine. She's like, no, those aren't good. It's like, here, let me do this. So then she crafted these gray pants for Dieth where they have like the different textures on the outside and the inside. And she's right, they look way better, and I should have absolutely have listened to her. I also just had him in like sort of just like a plain blue tunic, and she's like, no, that's boring. And then she put like the deep V cross stitching on the chest and kind of textured the outside of the arms with these like the folded pleats. I don't even know what I'm talking about.
That's where it breaks down. They have all the terms, and I'm like, I got no terms. I know about like levels and spells.
Yeah. So she came up with all of that. It was her idea to have the pouch of 3 throwing knives on his back.
Yeah. And
kind of be upside down and angled in such a way that he could reach back and grab them for like an underthrow, which is one of my favorite details that she made on there. So I kind of had like the base foundation, and then she just let me know what worked, what didn't, and then implemented her own ideas into it.
Neat.
It ended up being excellent. She's so good.
It looks awesome. It looks really good. So
yes.
So hats off to you, Heidi. That looks great. I love how they even in the intro, the animator used how you throw the knives in that way really well for the intro.
Yeah, I loved seeing that. It made me really, really happy. Now, of course, in the intro, I actually hit with the knives, which never happens in the game.
So it's obviously fake.
Yeah, obviously fake.
Yeah, I want one of those for real life, but it would have like my remote control and a pen,
right?
Fork,
your multi-tool, like call out your Leatherman, right?
But in a bandolier type of situation. I think
we can make that for you.
That'd be great.
I think it'd be happening. Holly's in the chat. Maybe she'll make it for you one day.
I actually used the leather the side pouch that we use for Dieth. We actually use that on our day-to-day lives just because they're it's so useful. Like the outside pouch perfectly fits a cell phone.
Oh, nice.
And you just put anything else in the center. So while we were at a different convention, I just had that on me. And a lot of people were asking me, like, oh, where did you get that? That's awesome. And I was like, I took it from my Dieth costume.
Sorry, it's one of a kind.
Yeah. Sorry.
Although, that's an Etsy idea right there. Make it happen.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I wish that stuff would come back in style. Guys, we need people to wear pouches and cloaks freely without scrutiny.
I'm 100% in on the return of the cloaks. I was just thinking about that the other day. I'm not sure why they went out of style. They seem useful.
They're not. They're completely in style.
All right, yeah.
Yeah.
Good to know.
I'm a big proponent of the man bag, like actually having like a shoulder bag with me at all time that has like everything I can possibly want in it.
Like a haversack?
Like a haversack.
All right.
Yeah.
There's some actor who was trying to make cloaks come back in style. I wish I could remember who it was. It was like Antonio Banderas or something.
Okay, he could pull it off.
He was like, I'm going to bring back cloaks. And I'm like, yes, do it.
Yeah.
You have my support.
He could pull anything off, though, I imagine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So a whole bunch of people have been asking questions ever since. We made a brief call on the Twitters, but like it blew up with people asking you questions. You mind if I throw a few at you?
Yeah, let's do it.
Sweet. So this is a good one, and I was thinking about this watching you guys, every week play in front of a computer screen. But how do you avoid becoming distracted when you're playing D&D on a computer?
Well, I shut everything else down.
Yeah.
So no like side phones, no handhelds, no other windows up. So we're playing dice camera action. The only thing I am seeing is the video screens of everyone else there, so I can watch them and look at them, see their reactions and how they're playing the game. And the other thing I have up is the chat window to kind of see their live reactions too, to see how much they like. To see their reactions to different moments within the show too. So like that's all I have up. And aside from that, it's just discipline. Like if I'm here, I'm doing this show. Like I am here to play D&D. I don't want to do anything else. Like that's all I want to do in the next 2 hours. Like I am in this world, and this is what I am doing.
That makes sense. Do you ever? Because when we were talking to Anna, she mentioned this that like it's kind of different than playing in person because you can when you're playing in person, you're focusing on one character's eyes, essentially. And you can sometimes get peripheral information, But when you have everybody's faces on the computer screen in front of you, you can see all the reactions from the cast to Chris, in the same field of view. Does that? Do you use that? Do you use everybody's reaction at once to inform your role play?
A lot of times, yeah. It's way different than in person, because also in person, if someone does something, you can physically turn to just them and give them a specific look.
Yeah.
Whereas on computer with a camera pointing at just you, everyone sees the same thing. So it's kind of hard to get that human nonverbal communication of just being able to look to someone or give them like a certain, like an eyebrow raise or something, or just a poke on the knee saying don't do that or something like that. I didn't even
think about that, but yeah, you're right. That is like a subtle thing that, like, you can kind of like put your hand in front of your face a little bit and be like, no, don't attack, but you can't do that on camera.
So when we get to do the live shows, we do get to do that, and it's such a different dynamic, and I feel like it makes our interactions and our role playing come alive even more, being able to physically interact with each other that way.
That's cool. All right, well, thanks for that question, Merfolk Lord. Good Twitter handle as well as good question. So this one's more about a funny Strahd question. If he invited you over for a dinner party, would you be expected to bring a gift if Strahd invited you?
My gift would be a sun sword to the heart. No, none of that. I hate that guy. I hate him so much.
He is such a jerk. Chris Perkins played him to a T.
When is he having his dinner party? I'm sick that weekend.
Literally. But that'll be your perfect chance to be able to sun sword him.
I'll have to steal it from Paulton first.
Yeah, there's that.
Yeah, I didn't realize there was garlic in this. I'm so sorry. Whatever it was.
I just want to make you a nice casserole.
You don't like Thai food? Oh, that's so sad.
Oh, dang, come on.
And
Holly said hard pass in the chat.
Yeah,
so I think
hard pass.
That makes perfect sense.
That's the best way to put it. Hard pass.
It's never an option on the invite returns. Will you be attending? Yes, no. Hard pass. No.
So that was a good question at the Willy Boo. Thank you for that. And here's one that I'm not sure you want to answer. What's the worst thing Chris Perkins has done to your character, and the worst thing you can imagine him doing?
Oh, no. Is he there? Is he listening? I don't want to give him any more ideas.
He's not. He's not listening. He's busy working on new adventures.
The worst thing he's done to DF. That's such a hard question to answer. I mean, I would say hang him, but I feel like there's worse things he's done.
Right, that's just dealt with your physical body, the mental tortures.
There's been harder ways to torment him. Nope, I got it. It was when Dieth accepted the dark gifts to claim a resurrection power, and was immediately turned into a ghoul-like state, only to find out that Van Richten just showed up having a raised dead scroll, and he didn't need to do that.
That is the worst thing.
I was like, oh, okay. Worst thing he could do to Dieth, I would say, take away any of his friends.
That makes sense.
Yes.
And sadly, we can confirm from the chat that Chris Perkins is listening, so he's taking notes.
Great.
Dang it.
Just kidding.
Just
the
kidding.
worst thing he could do to Dieth is give him 1,000 gold.
Oh, that'd be so cruel. Oh, man.
He gets a free airship to go home. Oh.
What a jerk, that Chris Perkins, helping you out like that. Oh, that was a good question. I can't really pronounce this Twitter handle, but it's CB Zoerhoff. Thank you for that. That was a good one. Who would you love to? You guys have had a lot of guests on Dice Camera Action. We had Sam Witwer last week. What do you think about his portrayal of the Mad Mage there?
Oh, it's so good. He absolutely nails it. I love all of his more subtle Gary Gygax jokes. That's my favorite part. I love how much he actually knows the lore behind Mordenkainen and all of Strahd. So yeah, he does an awesome job.
That's cool. So this is a good question then. What who would you, if you had a perfect world and you could invite anyone to guest on the show, who would you be? Who would you invite?
Dang, that is such a hard question. If I could, I guess I would play with. Man,
There's so many choices.
yeah. You know what? Mila Kunis.
I like that answer.
Boom.
Yeah?
One,
'Cause
I have a
she-
huge crush on her. Two, I know she's very much like a gamer and wants to play this kind of things, and I think she would enjoy it. It would be really, really fun.
Yeah, I'm on board with that. Because I remember her playing, she was a big WoW player back in the day.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
I think she'd be down.
She's nerd adjacent, if not full on into it.
Right.
Yeah, she'd be fantastic. I wonder what character she would play. Probably like a warlock.
Yeah.
I'm not
I
sure
can see
why.
that.
That just kind of popped into my brain. Sweet. Good question. That was also from CB Zoerhoff, so we're getting into those. We're getting into the big time ones.
Ooh, wow.
All right, so this is more of a rules type question because we know I've been playing lots of different editions. What D&D rule do you feel is underutilized? For example, Caleb Moshier, who asked this question, likes the encumbrance rule in 5e, but realizes that most people don't use it.
Ooh, I actually like encumbrance a lot too because when I'm DMing, I made encumbrance very much a thing because I didn't want my players to become the kind of people who just loot everything. Like they just grab anything and they're holding like 8 swords. So I'm gonna sell these later. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, I've got 2 10-foot poles. It's like, how are you carrying that? So I actually do like encumbrance. I also like the just ration rule where people are going out, they're going on these adventures and they have to survive. I want them to make sure they have food and water to survive. Because that also gives me an opportunity as a DM to prevent further challenges where their food gets spoiled, or if they're out there too long, or if there's harsh weather or whatever. So I'd say encumbrance, yes, I agree, and I think just food and water to keep people going, I think is also a underused one.
You're gonna love Adventure and Schultz. Yeah, resource management in general, it's an aspect of adventuring. I know some people like it, some people don't like it. I definitely agree. It certainly has its moments. And yeah, making my blatant pitch for Tomb of Annihilation, it's definitely an element of the adventure if you want to bring it in.
I also would throw out there giving money a purpose.
A purpose? Oh, yeah. So to be
Yeah.
able to invest in stuff? Yes.
Yeah, like if you're getting all this golden treasure, like being able to really use that for something.
I agree. I think that's a big part of it. And it harkens back to when, gold was XP.
Yeah, exactly.
So you always get these thousands and thousands of gold, and then being able to reinvest it into something was super. It made you feel like you were part of the world.
Right. I mean, and largely the reinvestment was building a stronghold,
Yeah.
building a cathedral or whatever your class was, and then putting your stamp on the world that way as well.
Would Diath ever want to create a thieves guild or some kind of organization that he was the head of?
No.
Never? Like not even once he want to pass his knowledge on?
Now, if he had any kind of large funds, it would just be a humble living and would just basically use it to continue getting adventuring supplies, maybe potions of like superior healing or whatever to make it easier to do so. But it's the actual adventure itself that he cares about, not so much the treasure.
That's cool. I can respect that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So where do you think Diath is going to go in the future? Now, remember, potential spoilers might come out here, guys. So if you have not watched, Up to Speed with Dice Camera Action, feel free to hum or stick your fingers in your ears. But yeah, what do you think is in store?
Well, I mean, I know where we are going to go to, and I am scared. So, I mean, we're going to end up at the Tomb of Annihilation, so that's fun. But for Diath as a character, I'm really looking forward to exploring his past and kind of what I alluded to earlier and why he is the way he is. And Chris Perkins has already started planting those seeds, whether it's his new sword Gutter that can summon a basically a god from Sigil, or what was hinted at Ashton Woodrow and his relation to Dieth. I'm actually really looking forward to exploring that.
Oh, I missed that. What was the hint there? What was?
Basically, Ashton Woodrow is a ancestor of Dieth in some capacity.
Oh, just like back in antiquity, or
yeah. So whatever that could possibly mean.
Interesting.
And then at least internally for Dieth, he hasn't been in a great place for a while. Ever since Ironslag, he's kind of lost faith in himself and his abilities, and no longer has the confidence or leadership of qualities that he had before. And I'm looking forward to exploring his further descent into that mental weakness, or whatever it would take to get him to rebound out of that.
What do you think that would be? How would he get his groove back?
Oh man, I have no idea. That's gonna be up to Chris and whatever happens, I suppose.
Yeah, some kind of heroic act though, something that would like
possibly, or maybe something with Ashton, maybe.
Yeah, maybe these are the seeds that Perkins have been planting all along. I like
exactly.
It. Very cool. So where can people find out about your channel, where you are, and pester you with? I keep saying pester today. Approach you with more interesting questions.
Oh, please do. Twitter is always the easiest. Just at ProJared. It's pretty much ProJared for almost everything. Twitter, twitch.tv/ProJared. I play Magic on there a lot and talk about D&D a lot. YouTube.com/ProJared on there. Be sure to check out all of the D&D videos. I also have a lot of Dungeons & Dragons gameplay stuff over on my YouTube gameplay channel, youtube.com/ProJaredPlays. Whether it's actual D&D or some of the old SSI gold box games like Pool of Radiance or Eye of the Beholder. So a lot of other D&D stuff on there too.
Nice. Yeah, when we were talking about Baldur's Gate in the chat, they were like, "Oh man, that's not old school. The SSI games, those are old school." And I'm like,
"Oh, the SSI games are so good." I was playing that, and I'm like, "I want another one of these." Someone make one of these, please.
Please. If only there was a brand that could do that. Oh wait,
if only there was someone I knew who I could talk to.
All right, well we'll make it happen. We're on it. I know, because I go back to those older games too and be like, man, there's so much wealth of storytelling in here that we could really mine.
Good game's a good game.
They are so ahead of their times.
It's true. All right, well, thank you so much, dude, for coming by and chatting about this stuff. And maybe we'll check in another couple months after Dieth has had his groove come back to him.
Yeah, thank you guys so very much for having me. I really appreciate it.
No problem. A lot of fun.
And I hope people who watch Dice Cam Reaction want to say thank you to everyone there. It really means a lot, and I hope you're enjoying the show as much as we are.
I think they are. There's the popularity and the amount of just love I feel from the Waffle Crew from fans has like ramped up even just in the last like 3 or 4 months. It's been insane.
Yeah.
You know, there was always this core group of people who are paying attention and loving everything you guys are doing, and then now it's just like reaching a fever pitch because honestly, your storytelling has gotten so much more dramatic and
I agree.
Every week, it's myself and I know Adam Lee and Stephen Brown, we all watch it together because I see them with their headphones and I see them laughing at the same point.
/ horrified.
Yay! Yeah. We're funny. Yay!
Yay! Oh man, we didn't even get to talk about your reaction faces. I wanted to make sure.
There's plenty.
Those are so entertaining, especially during the Stream of Annihilation right at the end when Chris gave that choice to Evelyn. Your pure horror was something that I'll remember forever.
I've got some great Twitter GIFs out of Stream of Annihilation of myself. So thank you to whoever made those GIFs. It's really helped me out.
And working through all of your pain here.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. We'll talk to you soon, and thanks for coming by.
All right, thank you for having me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Oh, man. It's always fun talking to people who just have so much passion about Dungeons & Dragons.
Absolutely. Long-standing tradition with the hobby, and we hadn't really talked about this, but at the Stream of Annihilation, it was just interesting watching a lot of the groups come together that had never played live together.
Yeah.
The norm for them was playing over Twitch, was live streaming games.
Yeah.
That was fun.
It was true. And these guys have played together a couple of times here and there, but like bringing it back and having that be that face-to-face stuff and having it be different. I like that. I like that they met up in real life too.
Yeah.
It actually warms the cockles of my heart a little bit there. So where can people find out about you, Bart Carroll?
I'm on Twitter as well, Bart_Carroll, 2 R's, 2 L's, which some people get. And by all means, if you're not already a subscriber to Dragon Plus, please subscribe, iOS or Android or dragonmag.com. And we religiously read through the comments in the survey. So if you ever have any suggestions, advice, criticisms, we read all of it, and we are very eager to always receive more of it.
I read through it too, but just not religiously. I do it atheistically. I read those comments, every single one. Thank you guys so much. You can ask me questions. I'm at Greg Tito on Twitter, or you can go to Wizards_DND to learn about everything that's happening in Dungeons & Dragons world. And of course, watch us record Dragon Talk live, twitch.tv/DND. We're on Mondays, 2 to around 5 p.m. Pacific time. And if you're interested in watching more of Dice Camera Action with Jared and Anna, we talked to her as well. Her episode is coming out as well. And we're going to be talking to Holly Conrad very soon in the next couple of minutes. But you can watch all of their adventures 4 p.m. Pacific time on Tuesdays on Dice Camera Action. And all of the back episodes are there as well. So you can get caught up. But even if you're interested in just jumping in, the last 5 to 6 episodes are pretty good at giving you what's happening right about now. So easy to jump into and easy to get hooked, I would say. All right. Thank you guys so much for listening to Dragon Talk. We'll be back next week. All righty. So we're going to be up with Holly in a couple of minutes. We're going to take a quick break away from the interwaves here, mostly just to use the bathroom for me. Unless you don't. Do you have to use the bathroom?
I go beforehand.
I go during, after, while everything's happening. It's all a thing. So we'll be back in just a couple of minutes, unless, Bart, you want to stay there?
No, there's a cup.
Oh, wait,
there
hold on. I got a cup. But we're going to turn off the videos just for that one. We're an adult show, but not that adult. All right, thanks, you guys. We'll be back in a couple of minutes.